Hey, what's going on, everybody? It's me, it's your old pal, VCC. And we got to do a quick update on our programming and basics setup. I just ran into a challenge. So I was getting ready to record Chapter 9, and Chapter 9 is about how to edit your programs. And one of the issues I ran into was that when I was using the insert key to insert lines in the middle of a program line, in order to get out of insert mode, you're supposed to press shift and up arrow on your keyboard to get out of insert mode. One of the things I discovered is that keyboard sequence is not properly emulated in the previous version of the VCC, the Virtual Color Computer Emulator. I've been running this off of an older version because when I started this series, the new version had not been officially started, and there was really no need to change because everything was working. However, there is now a need to change because something is not working. So this video is just going to walk you through how to update your emulator and how we can move all our files over to that folder or whatever the case may be. So here's what we're going to do. We are going to go to my website, which is ogStevieStrow.com, and then click on TRS-80 Color Computer. So when you go to ogStevieStrow.com, click on TRS-80 Color Computer. This is my links of color computer things that you can get to. And the one that we want to get to right now is the VCC Cocoa Emulator version 2.0 update. When you click on this link here, this is going to take you to what's known as the GitHub repository to get that version. So where are we going to install that version? How are we going to do that? Well, the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go right here and we're going to click on it. So bear in mind too, this only works in Windows. So if you've got a Mac or if you've got Linux, this does not work natively on those platforms right now. You would actually have to run a virtual version of Windows to run Virtual Color Computer 3. So you're probably better off running like XRoar or something like that. So in any case here, let's go ahead and click on the VCC 2.01 bravo-final.zip. When I click on that, I'm going to save this to my desktop. So I'm going to go ahead and click on desktop and I'm going to hit save and I'm going to let that thing download. Now that it's done saving, this is a little bit different too. One of the reasons why I avoided changing to this version for this long as well is that, where did my wallpaper go? Curse you. Hold on one second. Let's remove this. I need to get my wallpaper in here so you can see what I'm doing. All right, here's my wallpaper. I need to get the whole thing in here. Pardon me 2 seconds while I move this back down. Okay, here we are. Here's my wallpaper. Here's my desktop. So here's the file that we just downloaded. I need to extract all. We will go ahead and extract this to our desktop. But here's the problem with this. I wouldn't call it a problem, but this is the difference. Here's the difference in this version and in the original version. In the original version, when you extracted the folder, you had all the files you needed to run right from that folder. The new version now is a Windows installer package, and it's actually going to install the program into a folder. So it's a few more steps. It's a little, I wouldn't say complicated, but it's a little bit more work. And I'm trying to keep the setup for this as simple as possible. But at the end of the day, I think anybody who's actually going to do this is probably technical anyways. And at this point, we have no choice. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to go ahead and run this setup program. I'm going to go ahead and hit next. I'm going to say I accept the agreement. Once again, now here's where it wants to set the program up. It wants to set it up in C program files x86. Now if you have a 64-bit machine, it'll say x86. If you've got a 32-bit machine, it'll just say C program files. But then in a folder called VCC 2.01b. I'm going to go ahead and let it install there. I'm going to let it install everything that it wants to do. I'm going to hit next. It says, do you want the program shortcut in the following start menu? Whatever, sure, let's hit next. And do you want to create a desktop icon? I'm not going to do that, and I'm going to show you why. Because I'm actually going to move all those files over. So now I've finished that. Where the heck did that go? I've got to go to Windows. I've got to click on this PC. How did I get there? Well, if you click on this little folder right here, I think I've got a couple folders open. Let me close everything, right? So if this was a Windows desktop, right, you've got this little thing here, looks like a folder. Click on that folder. All right, So then you get this thing here that pops up that says this PC, or it might say this PC. We're going to go to our C drive. Now, where did that program go? In my case, it went into program files x86. Your case, it might have gone into program files. I'm going to go into program files x86, and I'm going to look for the folder here that says VCC 2.01b. These are all the files here. Now, what I think is going to happen is we're going to have a little bit of an issue on some of the configurations. So what I'm going to try to do here is I'm going to go to my original folder that we were doing all of this out of. This was my folder from before that was called VCC Basic Setup. This has all my stuff in here. This has my VCC program here. This is a VCC configuration settings. Just out of curiosity, what I'm going to try to do right now is I'm going to try to copy all this stuff here and I'm going to just move it over to this folder here, and I hope it doesn't blow up. I don't know if this is going to blow up. So it's going to say this already continues, or we're going to go ahead and hit continue. At some point in time, it's going to say, do you want to replace? I'm going to say replace everything. Now here's my concern. My concern is when I go to run this VCC from this folder, it might blow up because the configuration file is not the same. And on top of that, we want to make sure that our virtual floppy disk is reinserted. So let's go ahead and double click VCC, and here it is. Okay, now I'm getting some clicking noise from my microphone. I don't know if you guys hear that or not. All right, so VCC 2.01 just came up. What I'm not sure about is if I go to my configuration file, if I go to cartridge, okay, I'm still on my cartridge. If I go to floppy drive 0, it still says the RS-DOS 158K-RS disk. We might actually be in good shape here. If I type in dir, my disk is still here. So this was my concern. My concern was I didn't know if just by moving the files over to this folder that things would still work, and I might have had to reconfigure things. It looks like the configuration's stuck. So in this case here now, when I double click the VCC file in this folder, it comes up and it says here on your title bar that this is VCC 2.01. That's what we're looking for. Another thing you want to make sure you have in your configuration is when you go to display, you want to make sure you're on composite, because when we go to do some of these 8 color modes and 9 color modes on the original Color Computer Standard Basic, those don't look as well when you're running RGB. RGB would be the mode you would want to use if you were playing a Color Computer 3 game that used those colors properly. But for old Color Computer 1 and 2 stuff that we're doing now, we want to stick to composite. So you want to make sure that's set to composite. So at this point now, I have updated my environment, our environment that we're going to be using for this series. What were those steps? Those steps were to go to my website. My website is called ogStevieStrow.com. I will put links in the description, but here's ogStevieStrow.com. Once you go to ogStevieStrow.com, click on TRS-80 Color Computer. That takes you to my list of links. From here is a link to the 2.0 page, which I will also put in the description to this video. In the 2.0 video, this is the official website to always get the latest release of the Color Computer Emulator, which right now is 2.01b for Bravo, and that's it. And then one more thing I will show you. One of my challenges is how the virtual Color Computer keyboard translates to the modern PC keyboard. So I went over here to the wiki, I clicked on wiki, and I clicked on keyboard controls. And the cool thing about this is that, and I'll see if I can zoom this in a little bit, is that this actually showed us the mapping of where all the keys are. So DECB stands for Disk Extended Color Basic. This is showing you what keys on the PC keyboard translate to which keys on the Color Computer. So your clear and break key are above your up and down arrow keys, which are most likely, in my case, I think they're home and end. I think break is actually escape. I'll have to check that, but I think I gotta recheck those out. The one thing you'll notice here though is that there is no @ key on the Color Computer keyboard. There was an @ key. If you go over here to the original, well, we don't have the picture of the original Color Computer keyboard here. On the original Color Computer keyboard, just to the left, right above Enter, where our left and right arrows, and just to the left of that was an @ key. The @ key was a separate key, and you had to press Shift, hold down Shift, and press @ to pause a scrolling screen in BASIC. And the @ key doesn't exist as a separate key on a modern PC keyboard, so I believe the way to do that is hold down Shift and then press Alt. And then that will pause a scrolling screen, and then press Alt again to unpause. My problem when I tried that is it screwed up my recording software, so I couldn't pause in the middle. But in any case here, what we have done is we have updated our programming files. So the way I started this thing off was I had us put a folder on our desktop called VCC Basic Setup. When you go to this folder and you click on the icon here that says VCC, well, that will bring up the VCC. And once again, if you check your configuration cartridge in your floppy drive 0, there should be a disk in here that's called the 158K-RS disk. This is the virtual floppy we've been doing all our work on. And if I type in dir, this floppy is still virtually inserted in the virtual drive. And here's the files that we have been working on. So hopefully that wasn't too complicated. Hopefully this is not too technical, but this was a necessary step to update the emulator to handle some situations that we need to do chapter 9. The good news now too is that we are running on the current version, and this version will continue to be updated. If I find newer versions along the way, I'll let you know. But that's it for this video. And so now I'm going to go back later today and record chapter 9, which is how to edit programs. Talk to you later. Don't forget to leave a like and subscribe. If this is the first video you've seen in the series, check the playlist, and there's a whole bunch of videos here that you can watch. Starting with how to install the software, how to get the manual, where to get a virtual floppy disk from, all that kind of stuff, and then I'm going through all the chapters. Next chapter will be chapter 9. Until then, long live the cocoa, everybody.